how to form a company, what is needed for formation of a company, for creation of a company. You see, first of all, there are certain documents which are essential and essentially be prepared for formation of a company. And those documents are, the nature of the documents is that they cannot be prepared by a layman. I'm afraid that a layman would not be able to prepare it unless he has mastery over the Companies Act 2017. That's why you see people who intend to register or a company, they contact lawyers, and there are lawyers which are specialists or whose specialization is formation of companies. So first, document number one which is needed is a declaration. You see, uh, the people who conceive the idea of having a company, you see, there must be some people before the creation of the company, before the registration of the company. There must be some people to work on it, to prepare all these documents, to fulfill all these requirements. They are called promoters. In the beginning they are promoters, and then the company, and they are named as directors as well, the first directors. uh, it's in the third part of the lecture that how a director is chosen. But you see, at the time of creation of a company, at the time of formation of a company, few names must be there who would work as first directors. So these promoters, more or less all of them, 4 or 5 people, when they conceive an idea of having a business and they decide to have this business in the company form, naturally they will prepare all these documents and they will get the company registered with the Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. Okay, and they will provide in the documents the names of first directors, and they will be uh, themselves, they will be the first directors. So these directors, you see, will prepare certain documents, at the top of which is a declaration. They will declare, they will sign that they have fulfilled all the requirements needed by the Companies Act 2017, and they will sign it. Number two, most important document which is needed to be prepared for the creation of, for the registration of a company, is called Memorandum of Association. Memorandum of Association is the most important document for the creation of a company, whether it is private company or a public company. This is like a constitution of a company. Okay, we'll talk about the contents of Memorandum of Association. Third document which is needed for creation of the company is, you see, articles of association. As I told you, that articles of associations, they are bylaws or regulations of the company for the purpose of internal management, regulation of internal management. And fourthly, you see, address of the company, a document containing the address and proof of the company, that where the company has, or where the company has its head office. These are four documents which you would need for creation of a company. Now, talking about these documents, what are they? First of all, let us see Memorandum of Association. What is it? Uh, don't forget that this is a constitution of the company. It regulates the company's relation with the outer world. It provides each and every detail about the company's business, its structure, its capital, its share capital, its director, all these details. It has been defined by Section 2, paragraph 40, in the following words. It says that memorandum means the memorandum of association of a company as originally framed or as altered from time to time in pursuance of company law or this act. So, I mean, it never defines what does it mean, memorandum of association, but it provides the contents of the memorandum, which will make it clear that what it is. Okay, so let's talk about its contents. The nature, first, before talking about the clauses of Memorandum of Association, contents of the Memorandum of Association, let's talk about the Memorandum of Association. Although it is prepared, although it is drafted by the promoters, and although it is subscribed to, it is signed by the promoters or first directors, you see, and later on, you see, those shareholders who, after the incorporation of the company, they join the company by buying its shares, they never sign it, but it is considered, or it is presumed by law that every shareholder is presumed to have seen it and to have consented to it. So a memorandum of association of a company is a contract, okay, between the company and the shareholders. Okay. Uh, it is a no shareholder who joins the company as a shareholder after the incorporation of the company can deny can cannot he cannot be let to say that I have never seen, you see, that the company, what are the details about the company. No, he is presumed to have looked into the details of memorandum of association, and he is presumed to have agreed to each and every single clause of the memorandum of association. So this is in fact a contract between the shareholders and the company. Let's see, let's talk about hurriedly the clauses. What clauses are included in the memorandum of association, which is the most important document, which is actually the constitution of a company. So the very first clause is name clause. There must be a name for the company. There can't be a company without a name. There can be a lot of shops without names. There can be a lot of partnerships without a name. Okay, doesn't matter at all. Few people may make a partnership without naming it, but it's impossible. It's impossible. A company cannot be registered unless a name has been chosen. The name must be, you see, written on the pads and on the signboards of the company, and two words have to be added to the name, just like you see, Medina Karyana Store. It is a business which has been started by the company, or it is a business which was owned by a single person. Now it has been converted into a private limited company. Two words must be added to this name if this name is adopted. One is within bracket and the other is outside the bracket. Within bracket, private or PVT or private in full must be written. This is a legal requirement. LTD outside the bracket or limited in full must be written. So Medina Karyana Store Private Limited. Okay, a name. In the name must not be a nonsense name. Okay, section 10 says that company cannot be registered with a name which is identical with or resemble or similar to the name of a company. If there is a company already, and if a new company is you see, is needed to be registered, it cannot be registered with the name of the previous company. uh, like Bata Service, well-established companies. So if a new company cannot be a new company cannot be registered with this name, with Bata or Service or whatever. Okay. Second restriction is that a name must not be inappropriate. Any name which is inappropriate, I mean, which is nonsense, cannot be registered. Undesirable, maybe undesirable, maybe deceptive, like deceptive in the sense that, you see, there is a well-established company which is called Bata. If a name is instead of adopting Bata, they say Taba or Baba. So with these names, a company, because they are deceptive, and people may be deceived by these names. And lastly, you see, the name which is designed to exploit the uh, exploit or offend the religious feeling of people. A name which will either exploit or which will annoy or which will, you see, injure or offend the religious feeling of the people is with this name a company cannot be registered. So the examples of exploitation with the religious name is too much. Medina and Makkah and Karbala and this and that names which with which the the promoters of the company want to exploit the feelings of a certain sects of Islamic faith would not be allowed. In the same way, if the name you see offends the religious feeling of the people, that name would also not be allowed for the registration of a company. So for the in the memorandum of association, the first clause is name clause. Number two clause is called domicile clause. You see, it must be clearly mentioned that where the company has its registered office, either in Quetta or Lahore or Peshawar or whatever. Okay. The third clause of the Memorandum of Association is the most important clause of the Memorandum of Association, and the drafter, the one who drafts this memorandum of association, must be very careful about that. Why? Because whatever is included in it, the company's activities can be restricted only to those things or those matters which are mentioned in the object class. If it goes beyond those objects, then it is ultra vires. It is against the law, okay, against the memorandum of association. Like if a company has been created, you see, if a group of people they are planning to make a company to have a business of sugar production of sugar, they want to start sugar production of sugar. Okay, if they simply say that the company is being registered to for running a business of sugar, you see, a business of production of sugar. Then later on, after the registration, if they realize that they should they can make something else from outside the bagasse of the sugar cane. You know the bagasse of sugar cane, the refuse of sugar cane. Okay, they can make paper. They can make something out of it. They can't unless it is mentioned. But it's not difficult. They can alter, they can amend the memorandum of association. But if they want to, in future, as much activities, trade activities they can include in the object class, they must include it to save the company from any future difficulty. Like the company cannot carry on any activity which is not authorized by its memorandum of association. That is why you see an object class must specify three three things. Main object of the company to pursue to be pursued by the company and its incorporation. What is the main? What would be the main business of the company, or what would be the main object of the company? If the object is to run a yatim khana, an orphan house, you see, they cannot start another house for widows or poor people. They cannot start, you see, a house for feeding poor people. They must include it here. Okay. Number two is that object identical or ancillary to the attainment of the main object. Okay. Just suppose if the company is planning to start a sugar mill and they need sugar cane, they can say that company will grow its own sugar cane so that you see sugar can be provided for production of some production of sugar. So this is ancillary or incidental to the main direction. And C is other objects of the company not included in one and two if there are certain other objects which are not included part one and two of the object clause, they should be included. In short, you see, this object clause must carefully be drafted, and every possible activity with which in future the company can come across must be included in the object class, so that is the, it need why, because alteration or amendment of the memorandum of association is not an easy job. It would need three-fourth majority of the shareholders. Okay. The next clause, clause number 4, is liability clause. Okay, the liability clause of the memorandum of association, you see, will and a declaration that the liability of the members is unlimited in case of the where the company is limited. It must be mentioned in the liability clause that the liability of the members is limited. If it is unlimited, then it must be mentioned that the liability is unlimited. Anything, you see, anyway, in the liability clause, everything which is essential about the liability of the members must be mentioned. And whether this liability is limited by share or guarantee, it must also be mentioned. If the company is going to be limited by guarantee, it must be mentioned that it is a guarantee company. If it is limited by shares, okay, then it must be mentioned in the liability clause that this is a limited liability company and liability is by share. Fifth clause of the memorandum of association is called capital clause. I mean, the registering authority, the Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, must be told what business you are going to have, how much money you are planning to provide for the business. So in the capital clause, it must be mentioned that how much amount of share capital with which the company is to be registered. You see how much money, how much capital the company is going to have, and this capital is divided into how many shares. Just suppose the company is going to start business, and it is mentioned that we are going to start our business with the 50 million rupees. 50 million rupees. Okay. And the number of people who are going to be shareholders, they are also 50, and every one of them would be providing 1 million. So just suppose, although shares are very small amount, but they can say that we will have 50 shares and every shareholder will hold one share. Or maybe if they are 40, the shares are 50, some of the members can hold more than one shares. Anyways, in the capital clause, all these information about the share capital of the company, number of shares, value, face value of the share, all these information, all these details must be provided in the capital clause. Then coming to the next clause is association clause. The association clause of the memorandum of association contains a declaration by the person subscribing to it. You see, this important documents, which is called memorandum of association, must be signed by someone. And I told you that the promoters will sign it, and their names may be mentioned as the directors, so they will sign it. This signature part of the memorandum of association is the last part. You see, and this is called association clause. Signatures with all essential details, Shanakhti card number, address, his in what capacity he is signing. Either he is a promoter or he is you see, a simple shareholder, or he is one of the first directors. So all of them, they must sign it. This is about the association. This is about the contents or clauses of the memorandum of association. Then coming to the legal consequences of memorandum. What are the legal consequences? As I told you, this is a contract between the company and the members. Just suppose this is a public company, and at the time of its registration, the number of shareholders was just 50, but later on, when the company was registered, thousands of people bought its shares. So this will remain as a contract which will bind company as well as the members, the shareholders. So the shareholders who came after after the registration of the company, they cannot deny that no, they are not, they haven't signed the memorandum of association. By buying the shares, you see, they have shown their consent to the contents of the memorandum of association. They cannot be led to say that we haven't signed. And secondly, you see, it's a public document. It should be public documents. It must be made accessible to the public at the company's register office, as well as in the file of the company at the Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. Why? Because people who are going to deal with the company, the people who are going to join the company by filing, by buying the shares, they must know, you see, each and every detail about the company's business. Okay, so it's very necessary to provide all these information in the memorandum of association. It must be public. Here, I always urge my students, especially the law students, to study this law in detail with full concentration. Why? Because if a person is in outside the country, and if he wants to, just suppose that he has heard a lot about OGDCL, and daily on the internet he is seeing that the shares of OGDCL, Oil and Gas Development Corporation, you see, it's going up every day. You see, uh, its price are rising. Okay, so he wishes to invest in it, but unfortunately he does not know about the details, details that what is their business, how much is their share capital, what is the price of one share, and who are the directors, etc., etc. So all these information he can get from the file of the company, the file of the OGDCL, which is uh, you see, which must be placed before the public to look into it, or in the file of the OGDCL at the Security Exchange Commission of Pakistan. Just suppose that I am a person who provides corporate services. I can announce to the world that whoever in the world wants to invest in a Pakistani company, he should hire our services. We will go and we will study the file of that company, whether this is PTCL or this is OGDCL or any other public limited company. We'll go, we will look, we will study the file, and we will provide you the certified information about it. You see, on the payment of a fee of few dollars, $100, $120. So it can be a very good service. I meant to say by this that, you see, so far as the people of this country are concerned, it's very easy for them to go and see what is there uh, in the you see, the memorandum of association. But it's very difficult for others who are abroad to know or to have the certified knowledge. Okay, so this is about a memorandum of association, and then coming to its alteration. What does alteration mean? You see, you might have heard about amendment. What does amendment mean? Amendment of constitution, amendment of law. When, you see, law is changed, when law is changed, and you see, my this session is going to end within 10 minutes. Anyway, we will have a fourth session as well. No problem. So I think I should leave the, yes. So talking about amendment. This amendment is, the term amendment is used